Okay, and our last one, this is on Unit 5, Objective 3. This one I recently took the quizzes on, which is on arc length and area of a sector. All right. So if you look at this, so I wrote the formula for the arc length. It's always the circumference of the circle times the central angle over 360 is equal to the arc length. And we have two inputs here, where I can either give you the radius and you with the central angle and you compute the arc length, or I give you the arc length and you go find the radius. Okay, so those are the two possibilities. And then, so that's really one type of problem. The other type of problem is when is for the area of a sector. So I put the area of the circle, which is pi r squared times central angle over 360, and that's the area of the sector. And your inputs could either be given the radius, you compute the area of the sector, or given the area of the sector, find the radius. Okay, so let's look at our first example. Number one is find the area. So I'm going to use this one over here. Okay, so I'm going to put it out there as pi times 8 squared times 82 over 360. And I'm not going to leave this in terms of pi. I'm going to get an actual number. And this was in inches, so my area is going to be in inches squared. All right, so when I go type it in, I'm going to simply do 64. Well, 8 squared is 64. So I can do 64 pi times 82 divided by 360, and I get 45.80. So I'm going to round that. The 7 rounds it up, 0.80 inches squared. And that'll be the area of that sector. Okay? All right. So if I go over here and find the length of AB, okay, I'm now going to use this one. And I gave my radius again was 8, but a different central angle. So it's going to be 2 pi times my radius, which is 8, times my central angle, which is 55 over 360. All right? So now I'm going to do, I can do 16 pi. I know most of you type it in as 2 pi times 8 times 55 divided by 360. And my arc length then is going to be 7 point, that's going to round us up again, 0.68. And since this was in inches, this length would also be in inches. Okay? All right. So now let's look at the third example. It says find the radius given that the arc length is 20.64 and the central angle is 92. So we are starting with the arc length. So we're starting with this one, but we also gave you the length. So now, arc length. We're using this one. So then we're going to go work backwards and find the radius. Okay? So I'm going to start with 2 pi r times our central angle, which was 92, and over 360, but this time I'm going to set it equal to the 20.64. Okay? All right. So I'm going to multiply all this together on the left side here. So I'm going to do 2 pi times 92 divided by 360, and I get 1.606. I'm just holding on to 3 decimal places on this. So I get 1.606 times r is equal to 20.64. Okay, now to find the radius, I'm just going to divide by this. I don't have to square root. This is not an area. This is not a radius squared. So I'm going to do 20.64 divided by the 1.606. And I simply get 12. My radius becomes 12.85, and that would be inches. So I guess I should put that over here. It would be 12.85 inches. Okay? All right. And our last one here is find the circumference, given that the area of a sector, so we're going to find the circumference of the whole circle. Okay? Area of a sector of BD is 57.61. Now, we have to find the radius. Let's not worry about this for now. The first thing we need to find is the radius. So the area, I'm going to use this one over here then. Okay? So I'm going to start with pi r squared times our central angle, which is 60, over 360, and that's now going to equal to 57.61. Okay, all right, so I'm going to multiply everything together here, and I'm going to do, really, it's 60 pi divided by 360, and I get 0.524. R squared is equal to 57.61. Okay, I can't get R by, I got to get R by itself first, so I'm going to do the 57.61. I'm going to divide by the 5.524. So 57.61 divided by 0.524, and I get 109.943, and that's now my radius squared. But that's not my radius, it's a radius squared. So I got to take the square root of it to undo the squared. So square root of the 109.943, I get 10.49. So my radius is 10.49 meters. All right, now we need to go find our circumference. The key is to find the radius. Now we know our circumference is 2 pi r. So that's going to be 2 pi times 10.48, and that will give me my final answer. Okay, so I'm going to do the 10, I guess it's 10.49, I'm sorry, 10.49. Okay, so I'm going to do 10.49 times 2 times pi. Probably have a little rounding error because I rounded that previous answer. And I would get my circumference is going to be 65.91, and that would be meters. Okay? All right. So the big thing is knowing, you know, if it says arc length, you start with the arc length, and you either know the arc length, you're computing the radius, you know the radius, you're computing the arc length. Same thing with area of a sector. Okay. Hope this helps, and I will see you Monday for the unit test.